Good morning, children of a lesser joint, and welcome to today's discussion. We're continuing along the lines of whether or not the lateral pterygoid muscle is involved in disc displacement. This is the slide I ended up with in part 4. This is now part 5. And Tapia Contreras talked about the percentage of the superior head of the lateral pterygoid muscle which inserted into the disc, which is one of the questions that I wanted answered. And so with both histological studies and imaging techniques, in his study he found out that 2% to 69.8%, let's make it a flat 70, was reported as being the percentage of the muscle which attached in the articular disc. And we see we have a great degree of variation in the population with this, where there may not be enough insertion surface area to even pull the disc out in certain patients if in fact that superior head was in fact active during times when it could do that. Beyond that is a study by Akita, and I just want to bring this to your attention because Akita's article is very important. The lateral pterygoid muscle, particularly the superior head, is not the only muscle that's involved with attachments to the disc. Akita has the Rolls-Royce model in his particular article, and there are 10 muscles that can in fact insert into the disc. So I wanted you to have that information available to you in exploring whether or not muscle is actually involved in disc displacement. Getting back to the topic of the third head of the superior head of the lateral pterygoid, or the lateral pterygoid complex, Pompey Philo has 3 articles which are originated in 2009. This is an MRI study which is fairly comprehensive, and in the 3 articles he actually goes through a transition, and I'd like you to see what he has to say at the time that he does his particular study. So in 2009 he starts out by saying that the lateral pterygoid muscle has a complex structure and could contribute to the development of TMJ disc dysfunction and anterior disc displacement. By the time he gets to the first article in 2010, he said, we found a significant percentage of superior head of the lateral pterygoid muscle fiber embedded into the disc of asymptomatic TMJs, and its role in disc displacement and TMJ dysfunction should now be revised. By the time he gets to the last article in 2010, here's what his commentary is. The greater surface area that inserts into the disc actually protects it from disc displacement. Now, I thought that this was really inspiring for the simple reason that he starts off with a preconceived notion, genuinely concerned about whether or not this muscle can do it and pull the disc out of position. And then, of course, he ends up with findings that are actually opposed to that particular concept. And I will leave you with those thoughts today. I will tell you where we're headed for part 6. I'm going to now go into the dental clinical environment, and I'm going to show you what some of us dentists have been trained to review on behalf of the patient in looking at clinical phenomenon and how that plays into the way we perceive we should treat the patient or shouldn't treat the patient. So I'm going to be talking about a topic of interest for several of the dentists and probably the patients in this group called centric relation. And I'm going to share with you my current viewpoints and thoughts with that. And I'm also going to revisit disc displacement from that perspective. So, in saying my fond farewell for today's particular episode, I want to ask you to join me again for our next episode when I'll be rocking it out with Jaw Talk.